Hey guys, Bob McGurty here, and thank you for joining this live podcast. You may be watching it on Facebook or on YouTube, and just so you know, this was pre-recorded, and now it's being live streamed, and I will be saying hey to you in the chat session, but. Um, just want to thank you. The response of last week, just giving that kind of 8 minute intro, I was overwhelmed with how many people went live and how many responses I got later, and the number of views that have been on Facebook, and then the YouTube channel, brand new and already subscribers. So thank you. Let's get right into the topic today. Committed that this will be less than 30 minutes, but let's see how long it goes. And I want to talk about your voice, and I want to look at three aspects of your voice. And I think this is so important, no matter where you're at in life and your journey, no matter how old you are, or business or ministry, or just who you are. Your voice is so important. I believe all of us have a voice that comes directly from God, and the fulfillment in life is when we find the purpose of that voice and we exercise it. So but I want to talk about finding your voice, being your voice, and influencing your voice. And so you could call this the FBI podcast: finding, being, and influencing your voice. We'll talk about those three aspects about your voice. And interestingly, last week I was at a friend of mine's graduation. Shout out to you, Dr. Samuel Koshi, who received his doctorate of ministry from Regent University. And I was telling him about this podcast that I was getting ready to do. And he shared with me a message that he has recently spoken. You're welcome to look on YouTube and look up Samuel Koshi, Harvest Church in Bangalore. But he talked about becoming a voice and not an echo. And he talked about three things about voice: the uniqueness of your voice, the space of your voice, and the purpose of your voice. And he begins by talking about how unique your voice is in life. And so let's talk about these three things: finding your voice, being your voice, and influencing your voice. And I really believe it's important. I hope this will speak to you. And if you need some notes or want some notes on this, again, reach out to me, bengalibob@gmail.com, BENGALIBOB, bengalibob@gmail.com, or put a comment in the comment section. We'll get it to you. But start out with a story, Bob the Storyteller. And if you watch the movie A Star Is Born, and there's been a number of renditions of it, but most recently Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, who play the parts of Lady Gaga as Allie and Bradley Cooper as Jackson Maine. Love the movie and hate the movie. It's a tough movie to watch. But anyway, in that movie, at one point, Bradley Cooper makes a statement, and I'm going to just read this. And I would have loved to start out with the Shallow song, but there would have probably been some copyright issues with that, so we won't do that. But in that movie, this is something that Jackson Maine, Bradley Cooper, says to Allie, who plays the part, who is Lady Gaga. So he hears her sing, he hears her talent, and he basically says this, and I'm leaving out one particular bad word that he says in there, but he says, "Look, talent comes everywhere. Everybody's talented. Everyone in this bar is talented at one thing or another. But having something to say, and the way to say it so people listen to it, that's a whole nother bag. And unless you get out and try to do it, you'll never know. That's just the truth." And he goes on to tell her, "You probably don't want to hear that truth." And the fact was, she did. But in that, your voice. So it's important to find your voice. And when we talk about voices, finding and being and influencing, I'm going to also talk about what this looks like in an immature stage and a mature stage, or a maturing stage, and then a mature stage. So there's kind of, in the early stage of finding your voice, you're immature, and then you're maturing, and then you become mature in your voice. In being your voice, the same thing. But how do we find our voice? And again, number one is I believe that every person has something to say. And it may be through a gift, it may be through a talent, speaking, writing, teaching, uh, whatever it is. But we are on this earth with purpose and finding that. So I'll give an example of myself, in finding my voice. When I started out early in doing ministry things, one of the things I was taught, and I came from a medical background, and so I was not a polished preacher, speaker, and we were taught, just speak from the Bible. Don't tell stories. Just quote scripture. And and I listened because that's what I was told to do. But over time, I learned that I best communicate through stories. And if I were to come by an invitation to you to be a speaker, whether a preacher or a Rotary event or somewhere I'd go, I'm probably going to introduce myself telling you that I'm a storyteller, a networker, and a mentor. And I'd say, I'm going to tell you 3 stories and then we're going to close up. And I have gone to churches and I said, my name is Bob McGurty and I'm working in India with Calcutta Mercy and I'm a storyteller. And today I'm going to tell 3 stories and then we'll wrap up. And by the way, if you don't like stories, don't invite me again, because that's who I am. I am unapologetic because I've learned who I am. And so I've found my voice. I've been my voice. And actually, very part of this podcast is influencing you in your voice. And so all of these things. But as a storyteller, or let's start with a speaker and then I'll go to my specific area. But so take a preacher. If you've heard a preacher, in the early days, an immature preacher that is preaching using his voice to speak, he is going to, in his immature stage, he may not choose the right topic. He may not think about you, the audience. It might be he has this conviction, this understanding, and he's really not thinking about the audience, but he's got to get that message, so he tells it. And that's an immature use of voice. You have the ability to do something, but you're not doing it for the right reason. The maturing voice is when you are preparing yourself and you're thinking about the entire context, not only what you're going to say, you research it and you think a little bit about the audience and you do better. But the mature preacher is the guy or the lady who has been in prayer, who is thinking about his or her audience. And the mature use of voice at that point is, who am I speaking to and what do they need? For example, if I go to speak somewhere, one of the first things I'll ask the pastor is I say, look, what does the home run look like? In other words, if I do exactly what you're inviting me here to do, what does that look like? And we talk about it. We kind of negotiate through it, because the immature me would say, I've got this thought and I just got to get it out. I got to throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. So that's immature. It's not what I was invited to do, and it's not what I should do. So that would be immature. The maturing would be, I got this idea, but will it fit? And I think more about that context. But the absolute mature voice says, what is going to make a difference here? How am I going to help people get to that better place that they're at? So take the same context as a storyteller. When I began to realize that my gift is of a storyteller, I've just got to tell a story. The immature me to tell a story is, you're talking and boom, it reminds me of a story. But because I'm immature, I'm not even thinking about you talking. I'm not waiting my turn. In my mind, I'm adding points to my story. I have no idea even what you're saying. I've checked out, because the immature me, who's a storyteller, it is my voice, but it's an immature voice. I just got to tell this story. And so I tell it. And that disrespected you, because we're not in a monologue. You didn't invite me to tell a story. You invited me in community with you to be engaged with you. And I missed the opportunity because I'm immature. As I'm maturing and I am going to tell a story, now I'm thinking, okay, I got this story. It's really good, but does it fit? Has she heard that already? Will this help him? And so I'm putting my storytelling voice gift into check to make sure it's the best use. That's maturing. The mature storyteller, it's a whole different level. And so now I'm not going to compromise my gift to the relationship I have with you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to hear you. I'm going to make sure it's the right time. I'm going to make sure you're interested, because if you don't want to hear a story from me, why should I even do that? And there's a whole nother level of a mature storyteller. You see, go back to the FBI. You find your voice. And I'm talking about storytellers and preachers. You can bring this into any context. You can bring it into business world. But we all have this voice. We are on earth to accomplish something. And when we're young and immature, we don't know. But over time, we begin to get this sense of, oh, I am good at that. I am fulfilled when I do that. I am fulfilled in serving. I am fulfilled in leading. I am fulfilled in teaching, whatever that is. And in those immature, you just got to do that gift. But so you find it and you begin maturing in it. And so find your voice. And if you need help finding your voice, if there's something I can do, if there's others around you, have people who speak into your life and just say to them, I know I have a voice, a purpose, a reason for being on earth. And will you help me? What do you think my voice is? What is the value I bring to life and society? Ask people around you. They will help you. They absolutely will help you. But find the right people. So you find your voice. And when you find it, be it. Don't just sit around and perfect it and get a PhD in it, or do all these online courses and practice. My mom used to say, good, better, best, never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. Well, don't wait for good to become best before you be your voice. Just be it. Just don't be apologetic, but just be the voice. But move from immature to maturing to mature. Be your voice. And then that highest level of your voice, and this is for those of you that are seasoned, you've been in doing the things that you do for a while, you're an expert at it, is influence others. So we spend our life trying to figure out who we are, what we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, who we are at our best, and then we become it, but then we influence others. And so the more mature you are in life, the more you should have mentors and people that you're speaking into. And it doesn't have to be formal. You can have people in your life that you're mentoring, and they may not even know that you're mentors. So you find your voice. And is it easy? No, but here's some things to ask when you're finding your voice. What is it that when I do it, I'm absolutely fulfilled and I feel like everybody's pleased? I'm pleased with my use of time. The people around me are better because of it. And just work through a process that you find that voice. And once you've found it, man, just run with it and put everything into it. Be who you are and let it mature. Go from just selfishly wanting to get out to thinking about others, and then ultimately how does this better people in life? So you find your voice, you be your voice, you influence your voice. So let me just talk a little bit about storytelling here, and then we'll wrap up for today. So I'm going to talk about myself as a storyteller, and the immature storyteller, the maturing storyteller, and the mature storyteller. So I found my voice. It took years, but I found that when I tell a story, I love to do it. I'm comfortable. It's natural. I can just do it. And people are better because I tell a story. And I've learned to be that. And today I am trying to influence through storytelling. And so the FBI, I found it, I'm being it, and I'm working towards influencing it. But the immature storyteller in me, as I was saying earlier, I just got to tell my story. I'm not listening to you. I'm not even looking for a segue or if it's appropriate. You just came for me to be a listening ear, and all I am is a talking head. You don't need that. That's the immature storyteller, Bob McGurty. The maturing one is I want to be the storyteller. I got a story. I got to get it out, but I have to wait for the timing. I have to make sure that I have an audience that's ready to receive it, and then I tell the story. But the mature storyteller is, and I've noticed this more in recent years, where not only do I tell a story, but I look around and I realize that I may be in a room of 10 people, and there's probably at least 9 stories that are better than Bob's story. And so I influence. And I don't want to get too personal and embarrass anyone, but I will go in a room of people I know, and I know they got some good stories, and I'll say, hey, why don't you tell everybody that story you told me last week? Because it's a good one. It is funny. I mean, I've got funny stories, but yours is funny. I have family members, and they have great stories. And don't worry, David and Deborah and Jonah, I'm not going to call out those specific stories. But if you ever want to tell your stories, we'll get the mic and we'll have a mic drop moment, and you can tell your stories. Seriously, guys, your voice is important. People need to hear from you in whatever gifting or context you have. And so my prayer for you today is that you find your voice, that you know what it is that fulfills you, pleases God, and encourages others. Find your voice. Secondly, that you be your voice. Just be it. Just be the authentic, original you. And people will love you for it. And you will grow and you will mature. And then once you've found your voice and you are being and have been your voice, then just join a team of people who are influencing others. In a world of competition and anger and bitterness and hurt, be that one that just stands out and is influencing others to making a difference in this world. God bless you. Love you. Feel free to reach out to me, bengalibob@gmail.com, BENGALIBOB, bengalibob@gmail.com. Appreciate you, and I hope you'll join me next Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Take care.